not being afraid to keep a conversation going, especially after sex. Right after sex is the best time to ask questions about your sex life. The best time. So take advantage of that time. Don't just pass out. Take 5 minutes, have a little conversation, ask some questions, be curious about your partner, try to learn something new every time, and I promise your sex will automatically get better if you do that. Welcome to What I Love About Sex, where some incredible guests and I, Steph Kanowski, will be bringing you the tools for improving your sex life with topics such as sex issues with your partner, sexual self-confidence, premature ejaculation, sexual shame, masturbation, sharing your fetishes, orgasmic pleasure, and more. Sex is still so taboo, and I personally believe that by improving our understanding and communication skills around sex, we can enhance our own self-pleasure as well as deepening our long-term romantic relationships. So listen in, try to stay open-minded, and let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode on the What I Love About Sex podcast. Before I get into the topic today, I want to let you guys know that I'm doing something special for Black Friday this year. Super excited because I never did a Black Friday shebang, charah, and this is the first time that I'll be doing something. So if you are wanting to overcome premature ejaculation, overcome delayed ejaculation, you want better sex in your relationship, or you want more sex in your relationship, then you want to head over to the link in the description of this podcast, find which one of those four pertain to you, and sign up for that email list. I will be giving out offers and bonuses and really big discounts on my services only for Black Friday. That's it. Then I'm shutting it down. My rates go up next year because that's what happens. Every year they go up. So you definitely want to take advantage of this Black Friday sale. Go ahead right now, pause this episode, go to the link in the description, and then join the list so that you get everything on Black Friday. All right. So let's talk about 3 ways to have better sex in 2023. So I want to start with number 1 being to take action on your sex problems, your sex insecurities, and your discomforts. And what this really means is whatever it means to you. Maybe to you, it means start journaling about it. Maybe that's your action to change if you're unhappy, if you have a problem, if you're struggling with PE or DE, or you're not feeling enough sex in your relationship and you're not sure why. Maybe the first action for you that's a little uncomfortable and a little outside your comfort zone that's going to push you is writing it down. Maybe an action is talking to someone, working with me, working with a therapist, talking to a close friend about it. Maybe it's to stop talking about it to your friends and actually practice certain exercises to help you through this problem or this insecurity, right? Because sometimes we do get in a habit of just talking, and if that talking is not productive or constructive, then it's not helpful. And I've had a lot of clients who I had to tell, if they were struggling with a woman or, they just came out of a breakup, I would tell my clients all the time, like I told multiple clients this, stop talking to your friends about your breakup, because it only upsets you more. And if you're only telling them to talk about it and you're not telling them to get constructive feedback from them, it's really just a way to vent. You can only vent so much. And then after the venting, it's just emotionally dumping on your friend and also just reminding you of the person and the situation and keeping you in a victim mindset, which doesn't help you move forward and take action on your future. So I've had to tell a lot of clients, do not tell your friends, stop talking to your friends about your breakup, stop talking to them, only talk to me about it if you really need to talk to someone or talk to like one other person. Cut it off at 2, me and someone else. That's it. And it was amazing how every time I do that with my clients, they're like, thank you so much. I didn't realize how I kept replaying the same story and the same pain, and it was just like I was reliving it again and again. And I'm like, yeah, because your brain actually thinks you are reliving it, and it makes you more depressed. It makes you carry more of those emotions that you carried during the time of that breakup. So let's not do that to you. Let's not torture yourself. So, going back to taking action, maybe the action is to talk to someone who can actually help you and be constructive in helping you through that conversation. Maybe taking action is using a certain sex product, whether it's a certain supplement or whether it's a sex toy. Maybe like it's about trying things on yourself or for yourself or with your partner. Maybe taking action is having more conversations with your partner, right? With your sex partner. Maybe you don't have the same sex partner and you've been having casual sex, or you want to have casual sex, and taking action would be having sex with someone and going into that sex with excitement, that sexual relationship with excitement and open communication. And you're actually taking that step towards building experience and going in with a good attitude versus going in with the fear of judgment. So these are actions, and I want you to think about what new action you can take in the next year that would benefit or help you through the problem you're dealing with, an insecurity you're facing, or discomfort you're feeling. So think about that for a few seconds and write it down somewhere if you can. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to think on it. What's one action you can take? All right. Come on back. All right, let's do number 2, how to have better sex in 2023, is ask more questions. And this especially has to do with asking your sex partner more questions. And I'm not talking about those of you in a relationship. I am talking to you guys. I'm also talking to you guys not in a relationship, where you're having sex with women and the communication isn't so open. It's not so comfortable. It's more like, and sometimes it's harder to have open communication in a casual sex relationship because you don't know them that well. So it can sometimes feel like you shouldn't talk as much, or it's weird to talk too much, or ask certain questions. And I get that. I can see why you feel that way. I felt that way in the past, but I've also felt the other way when I started asking questions to casual sex partners and having more of that open communication, and it was so much better. So when you're with your partner, especially because it gets hard when you do have a partner, and it becomes hard because you think that you should know everything about them. So why should you have to even ask questions, right? So there's difficulties on both sides, but both sides need to ask questions continuously because our bodies are continuously changing. We are constantly wanting different things, and it's important to bring up different things to the relationship in terms of a different type of sex, a different style. Like I always talk about, novelty is really important. Newness in a relationship is really important. So that comes along with new questions itself. As long as you're focusing on novelty and bringing new things into your relationship whenever you feel like you're going through a stale period, then questions should automatically come with that, and they should feel more natural because you are doing something new where there's a little uncertainty around it, right? So get in the habit of asking your partner more questions. If you guys just had sex and you went down on her and she gave you a certain direction that you never heard her say, or maybe you hear her say it all the time, and then right after sex you're like, would it work better if I tried this? So you wouldn't have to tell me that? Or what do you think when I do this? We have to open up to not being afraid to ask our partner questions, because you guys are not supposed to know her body better than her. You're not. So she knows all the answers. Ask her the questions and you will get all of the answers you need. If she knows her body. If she doesn't, it might lead to a more awkward conversation, and that happens too. It's just about being prepared for whatever may happen, but asking questions and not being afraid to keep a conversation going, especially after sex. Right after sex is the best time to ask questions about your sex life. The best time. So take advantage of that time. Don't just pass out. Take 5 minutes, have a little conversation, ask some questions, be curious about your partner, try to learn something new every time, and I promise your sex will automatically get better if you do that. All right, number 3, how to have better sex in 2023 is practice vulnerability. This means practice sharing more of what's really going on in your head or what's really going on in your heart. If you're feeling something, don't be afraid to share that feeling. You are allowed to feel things as a man. You're supposed to feel things as a man, and the more you express the way you feel, the more a woman is going to feel connected to you. And the more she feels connected to you, the more she will want sex with you and feel ready for sex with you. And what this can look like is, I've been dealing with some overthinking, when we've had sex the last couple times. I've just been really in my head, and I'm not exactly sure why, but if I seem a little distant during sex, that's why. I just want you to know that. But I'm trying to understand it. I'm trying to work on it. But I just want to keep you updated about that so that you don't think I'm not so into you and I think you're so sexy. That's vulnerability. That's an example of vulnerability. So even though you're showing a weakness that could potentially be used against you, that's how I kind of think of what's vulnerable, right? It's like it takes courage to say something that's vulnerable. And the reason why it takes courage is because we're showing a weak side of ourselves that someone can potentially judge, right? And that's why most of us are not vulnerable. We want to stay strong. We want to stay unbreakable or appear that way, even though we know we're not. But when you practice things, saying things like what I just said, it builds trust with your partner, because now with that example, think about a woman who hears that. She's like, oh, wow, like he told me something I wasn't totally sure of. And now it does make sense. Like it does make sense why it seemed like he wasn't that into me or wasn't into our sex last time we had it. But he just confirmed verbally that he is. Like, oh, like it's reassurance. That feels good. Reassurance feels so good when we're giving that to our partner. And then she's more likely to say something to you like, can I help you get out of your head? Like, can I help? And then she offers help. And maybe there is a way she can help. Maybe there's not. And that's okay too. It's okay to tell her, no, this is something I need to work on myself, but I appreciate it. That's a bonding moment. That builds trust. That builds connection. She's going to trust that if something's on your mind again, you will tell her and she'll always have the answer. And that's so relieving. It feels so good for you and for her in this situation. And there's going to be times when she's going to be vulnerable with you. And that's when you have to protect her vulnerability and you have to respect it and be there to offer her support too. And that's how you build a strong connection. So I want you to think about that. Like, think right now, what is something that maybe you can share with your partner, but you've been afraid of sharing because you don't want to appear less of a man or less strong? Think on that, 10 seconds. Even if it's a woman you're casually having sex with. Okay, cool. And lastly, I want you to, this podcast is how to have better sex in 2023, right? But what does better sex even mean to you? I wanted this to be, I'm realizing this should have been the first question before we went into the 3 things, but this is really important. Like, if you're going to have better sex in 2023, what does that even mean for you? Because it means something different to me than it does to you, than it does probably your partner. So before you start the year, and even now, right? Because we don't have to wait for the year to do this. What does better sex mean to you? Better sex to me means feeling more connected and being more in my body. And I could get into more specific detail, but I'm going to save that. So I want you to think, what does better sex mean to you? And how can you get specific about it? Because it's really interesting when you get clear on what you want, then you realize how near or far you are to that goal of what you want. And it does help you take more action and ask better questions and practice more vulnerability when you know exactly what you want, right? All of the ways to get there are easier when you know exactly what you want because the outcome is so clear. So I'm going to leave you with that. Think on it. Think about better sex in 2023 and the 3 things I mentioned today to help get you there. And don't forget to sign up for the Black Friday list that pertains to you. The link is in the description of this show. Have an amazing morning, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world, and I'll talk to you soon. I hope this episode helped you. If it did, I would love for you to leave me an iTunes review. It would mean the world to me. You can also screenshot your favorite episodes and tag me on Instagram @StephGanowski. And before I go, remember, your sex life is as good as you make it out to be. Until next time.